Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. It has been a while, but we are back at it again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me as always is Mr. Paul Morales, the dead man of RWT.
He's back.
Back again. Mike and Paul are back. Tell a friend. It's the weekly review, ladies and gentlemen. Paul, a lot has happened since our last episode.
God dang, a lot has happened.
I will say this, and we'll start it off with this, just because it's been an ongoing thing, and we're going to probably see some more tapes this week with Mr. Eric Rowan. The Wyatt Six debuted. They almost killed Chad Gable, but Chad Gable is a survivor. He ain't gonna give up. Jey Uso saying yeet, I'm out of here. Deuces. I've been really liking the presentation of Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Bo Dallas, Eric Rowan. This has been just fantastic thus far.
I think it's very different from what we're used to. You know, we had Bray Wyatt kind of coming out. We saw the vignettes that were going on shortly before his passing with Uncle Howdy. So it coinciding, that they actually brought that. And I think they were already intending to do this whole Wyatt family all over again now, called the Wyatt Six. They brought everybody in, and you know what? It's actually slowly progressing and slowly taking shape. So they got Chad Gable, and then we see Bo Dallas all up in Adam Pearce's office, just waiting for him, like, yeah, I see you. Hey, what's up? How you doing? We see all that, and it's a slow progression, much like how Bray Wyatt did it. So that's where we're at. That's where we're going, and we'll have to see where it goes. And of course, Mr. Yeet already told them, you could have the fireflies, you could have the roaches, you can have mosquitoes, you can have whatever you want, because I ain't trying to have that smoke.
Would you like to see, and I'm going to say this right now, I think we're going to come to a point, like the first feud being with the Alpha Academy and then, Chad needing their help, or do you like the direction that they're going with the Alpha Academy and them? I think I'm curious, man, because Chad Gable is really in a prominent spot right now.
I think what's eventually going to happen, and we've already had those little teases for it, was him and the Creed brothers, kind of having a little thing. So if it happens, hey, cool. I am here for it. But I would like to see them at some point in time down the road get some gold around their waist, because that would be certify them as being a threat on Raw.
Agreed. And I will say this, you have the new Team Angle 2.0 if we get Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, which I am here for. Another thing I'm here for to talk about, which is a lot has happened, like we mentioned, two great events, NXT and Money in the Bank. And I will say this about NXT, one particular match sent everything into an uproar with Mr. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Pretty much Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez reviewed Kailani Jordan and Sol Ruca for the NXT Women's North American Championship match. Oh, it's just a bunch of gymnastics routines. It's just this. It's just that. It stunk. And I'm like, and everybody's like, dude, like, that's literally almost every AEW match. Like, how hypocritical is that? Will Ospreay and Ricochet can do this. So-and-so on AEW do this, but, Kailani Jordan and Sol Ruca, who are actually gymnasts, and like, hello, but are very athletic in what they do with their storytelling. Oh, but they suck. Like, that brought everybody into an uproar since our last episode.
I have to say that that's kind of a contradiction, a big contradiction to what you want somebody who is supposed to be a critic that's not really biased against one or the other, liking one more than the other. But dude, when you're out there and you're putting all this out there, dude, like, come on, Dave, come on, Grandpa Dave, dude, you can't do this. They killed it. For as great of a match that we didn't think it was going to be, it turned out far better than the main event. 1,000. By leaps and bounds. I am just saying, but not that I didn't mind the main event, but it just exceeded everybody's expectations of what Kailani Jordan as a champion, as opposed to Kailani Jordan as a contender for a championship. Because I think she leveled up. No offense to the level up.
Mhm.
Anyways, no offense to it being a thing that she did, and it's like she took it from this level to here. Like she's on maximum overdrive right now, and I think she still can push that limit a little bit higher. Um, so Ruka, dude, that's who I should have. That's who I thought should have won the North American title for the women.
Mhm.
That was should have been my pick, but I like Michin as that kind of like that for everybody to kind of come up to. You know that's where I would have liked to have seen her kind of been this here, and then everybody try and come after her, and maybe that would have propelled her into the NXT championship against Roxanne. So I don't know. It to me, I think that this match in particular, I think Dave kind of over exaggerated so much about everything, especially since AEW does the exact same shit. AEW does a whole lot of um,
Flippity flop.
flips. Yeah, yeah, flips, flops, doing all this other stuff, jumping everywhere, and everything is very specifically choreographed. And now we may have like Ricochet going over there. So now we're going to get Osprey and Ricochet at some point in time. The same thing they did back in I think it was like New Japan or something like that,
Yeah, like
wherever they were at.
2016. Yeah, New
Yeah,
Japan.
and we're going to get that again. So how is it you're going to be biased towards the women who are out there busting their asses off, but yet the men who are over in AEW and even in WWE, I'm not going to say that it wasn't them because they've done it there too, where you know you're just criticizing just to criticize and just to make headlines for no reason.
It reminds me of, and I'll say this, and first and foremost, what I do appreciate about these women, like first of all, Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice at the pay per view as well. Lola Vice is just so freaking good. The way that they sold and everything in that particular matchup. I really like how you mentioned Mi Chin, how man, she's been her trajectory and arc of her and Nia Jax on SmackDown, her and Jada Parker on NXT, the OTM off the mud, and just the whole OC feud I've been really enjoying. One particular match you mentioned, Ethan Page is now the new NXT champion. And then on NXT, we got two big things that happened this week. We'll start with this one. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry being the tag team partner of Trick Williams against Ethan Page and Sean Spears. We also saw the return. It's back. MSK mixed with the Rascals. Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz are on NXT, and they'll be taking on Gallus next week. We got them in the No Quarter Catch crew. Charlie Dempsey was on Impact. Izzy Dame was the one who answered the open challenge for Jordan Grace. I am loving this NXT TNA relationship.
I am loving it too. Everything that WWE is doing, everything that Triple H is doing, and Shawn Michaels are doing, this is completely off of what anything Vince would have done. And it shows by everything. It shows by last night's, of course, since we're recording on a Sunday, so we'll talk about last night's matches. Of course, in Noah, we got AJ Styles versus
Naomichi Marufuji.
yeah, thank you. And of course, over in Marigold, we got Io Sky against Utami Hiroshishida.
Mm-hmm.
And those matches, I swear they were bangers. Both matches. This is like what we don't see in WWE. Again, matter of fact, take that back. What we have been seeing as of late in WWE, it's literally trajected over there to where they're doing so much more. And oh my God, that Io Sky match. Oh my God, those two took it to the limit. For almost 25 minutes, those two went at it, and it was a banger. I beg everybody to go and watch it again, especially and that AJ Styles match, man. I watched that thing beginning to end, man. That was impressive. AJ at 47, doing what he was doing. Give me some of that energy.
What I love about both respective matches, Io Sky brought back her old mask, which I thought was very, very cool. Those two worked their asses off. Same with AJ Styles and Naomichi Marufuji, for those who've never seen him. I remember I first saw him against Nigel McGuinness in Ring of Honor, and he also did some work in TNA. The dude is just another Japanese legend, and those two together they gelled so well in their synergy with both respective matches. And another thing that came out of it, like Paul mentioned, go out of your way to see them, folks. Tavian Knights and friggin' Josh Briggs are going to be in the tournament. You know what I'm saying? Tavian, I believe it's Tavian Heights, and I think I said Knights. Tavian Heights and Josh Briggs. So
Yeah.
Tavian from the No Quarter Catch crew, excuse me, and the whole oh crap, what was his name? Josh Briggs. Thank you. So they're in the tournament. Everybody's like, "Oh, come on!" You know, with this relationship, they're bringing these two nobodies. I'm like, the point is to give them exposure. NXT's getting exposure in Pro Wrestling Noah. What don't we understand about this? You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
that's a big deal for Pro Wrestling Noah and those two. But they're like, oh, but Takeshita just is in the G1 and now WWE's doing this. Yes, Takeshita is a New Japan star. These are American stars, the foreigners to the Japanese talent, getting a shot in Pro Wrestling Noah. This is huge. And we see more of the relationship with Pro Wrestling Noah and WWE. I'm excited for that trajectory. We saw Charlie Dempson in All Japan Pro Wrestling. We now have the Creed brothers going to Bloodsport. Let's go, baby.
We're talking about that again. Look at now, all of a sudden, here we go. Shayna Baszler back in Bloodsport, and this is just gonna be one of those moments, and it's gonna be electric, and over in Bloodsport, over in that GCW Bloodsport, Josh Burnett, Barnett, Josh Barnett, sorry, um, he creates this kind of cohesive function for or these kind of cohesive events for anybody, anybody. And it's literally, we got AEW represented, we got WWE represented, we got TNA represented, we got New Japan represented. So it's like you got all these promotions that are just in one place, kind of like the All-Star game. You got places from different teams, and even though they kind of don't get along or whatever, there's still one place that you can go to see all these teams and see all these wrestlers get together. And it's great that WWE, Triple H specifically, is allowing them to go there to do this.
That's my thing too, man. It's just like, first of all, Shayna Baszler's opponent at GCW, excuse me, Bloodsport is Yamashita. Like for like you're putting her and Yamashita in there, like who's been on AEW. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing how those two are cohesive and synergy, like we mentioned. She goes from friggin' Masha Slamovich to Yamashita now, who has been on AEW, who's been on many of sorts of indies, and they're going to be going at it. Like, I'm excited for that. We mentioned the Creed brothers. Like, I'm so excited to see just, again, you wouldn't have saw this in Vince McMahon's WWE, how we're expanding, we're working with people. We're all working together as it should be, and we're getting a lot of exposure and a lot of eyes on these great talents and these great companies. Now, speaking of companies, and we're going to go here because we're also going to play a banger, and it's been the big story of the week. Stephanie Vacour has now signed with the WWE. We saw her against Mercedes Moné at AEW Forbidden Door, and she dropped the NJPW New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion to Mercedes Moné. She looked great in that match, and then WWE picked her up, but the swarm of controversy, if you will, is like, oh my God, she didn't drop the CMLL titles to Tessa Blanchard or whoever, whatnot. So if I'm her, and I'm going to point this situation out to you, if I'm being signed to WWE and I know I'm going to be there, and she respectfully dropped the title and thanked everybody for their time and everything, the company she worked with. If I'm her, that's very smart because, like, I don't want to get injured. I just got this WWE contract. I don't want to work these shows and get injured possibly. And as we'll talk about her wrestling in Mexico in a second, but it's smart on her end. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she didn't just say, fuck it. She's just like, hey, I'm not going to do this because I'm signed to WWE now. Why would I want to risk it and get hurt? So here's your championships back. But people are
See,
like,
it
oh,
would now it would have been completely different had she been like ending a contract.
right.
Had she ended a contract with somebody and then she had these dates that were available, where she could go wherever she wanted to after she had completed those dates. But what she did is she bowed out prior to them because they wanted her and they told her, we'll pay you now. We'll give you the exposure in Mexico City, which that's where she was last night. And oh my God, she had a quick little match with Isla Dawn, and it was really, really good to see her, with somebody in WWE. But for her to do it and not want to get injured, that's a smart thing. We don't expect, somebody like Ricochet be like, oh, you know what, let me take on all these matches or whatever, let me do this and that before I head out the door. But, I want to take all these matches before I go out. And, what happens if he got injured?
Hmm.
What happens if that spot with Braun Breaker where he slammed him into the car? What happened if he didn't get concussed? What happened if he would have, or had he would have gotten concussed? Or what would have happened had he, broken a finger or dislocated his shoulder? You know, what would have happened then? Would other companies would have been calling him, been like, hey, you know what, come over here, come over here. He's out of work. He's off the clock. Does he re-sign with WWE just to take the money, take a 1-year contract or 6-month contract, but they're signing everybody up to 3 years. So what do you do? I mean, it's smart on her part. It's smart on Stephanie's part to just say, I'm gonna go where I'm gonna go. I'm sorry that I can't make these bookings. Here's your titles. I'm gone. And it's not a bad thing.
No, not at all. And it reminds me of, now here's what I'm going to say, and this is on the other side. If this was Tony Khan, and be like, you can do those bookings. Ah, so he would have allowed her to probably done that bookings and watch something, God forbid, would happen. But you know how Tony is. So, and we'll get to Tony in a minute. But good Lord, like I'm loving Stephanie Recur and WWE. Like you mentioned, go out of your way because Paul sent it to me as well. The match with Isla Dawn. First of all, can we just put this out here, Paul? Great first opponent for her, because if there's anybody that could work safe and work with her in a great style, it is Miss Isla Dawn, one half of the Raw Women's Tag Team Champions. Like, I've been really enjoying it. And then this one over here, because I saw it as well, we got to play this banger because her theme song, like, is really, really good. I didn't think, like, it's so quick and on the spot, and her wrestling with Mexico. I love this. So we're going to play Stephanie Recur's theme song from this Super Show. Stephanie Recur! So I'm gonna say it right now. That was really good, like that. I dig it. I dig it, Paul. I dig it.
I was digging it, guy, and there were a couple other clips like on IG that were actually did the whole entrance. That song is just catchy. It's like, well, as soon as you hear that first note, and you're like, I know who this is, and that's good that they did it for the crowd. That's good that WWE actually posted it, and showed that she was coming out on her entrance. So people are like, okay, I'll get familiar with it. So when she does debut in NXT, in NXT, people will be like, dang, that's her. Yeah, they'll be cheering for her. And dude, she's already a star. She's already a superstar. I mean, forget Mercedes Moné that she had the match with her. Hey, great match. But here's the thing. She was already a star prior to that.
Now, I'm going to add this to you, Mr. She was a star prior to that. The star making the star power that we have with NXT. So I wouldn't put her in there with Roxanne right away because I know that's the match. Her and Roxanne. No, we're not doing the title match right away. Who would you like to see her as a first feud in NXT? I mean, there's so many great talents down there. There's Lola Vice. There is, we mentioned Roxanne, but they're not yet. I mean, well, Julia, her and Julia on the same brand. I don't think you'd rush that yet because I know her and Julia is definitely going to happen. But I'm looking forward. Jada Parker is a great heel right now. Like, you could do so many great people against her. Fallon Henley. Like, you have so many options for her to face in her first feud in NXT.
I think with as many women that are on the NXT roster, and now there is a plethora of women. This isn't just a 4 women here, 4 women in the main roster, or on the for the women's title.
Right.
No, now you have an abundance of women. Now you have literally, and if you look at the roster online, there are more women on the roster than there are men on the roster. As to wonder why they brought in Sean Spears, as to wonder why they brought in Ethan Page, and you're picking up all these guys off of, from other places, and then bringing them in from TNA. So giving them that exposure too. Look, whoever, it doesn't matter. She can go in there with a Lola Vice. She can go in there with a Fallon Henley. As long as she's able to showcase her skills against anybody, hell, give her a few squash matches for all I care. So long as people are getting used to her, give her some lengthier matches, against like the women that I just mentioned, Lola Vice and Fallon Henley, and then maybe Thea Hale would
Mm-hmm.
be another one, and Natalia resigned. So why not Natalia? Why not Michin? People who are safe, that she can vibe with, uh, and pretty much get her feet wet in WWE, learn the system of WWE, because this is completely different than what she's learning out there in the indies. So I'd just like to see her, anyone. I don't care. It's anything, anyone and everyone in that in NXT right now would be amazing for her.
Agreed wholeheartedly. And Paul also brings up our next topic here. So we talk about great women. Natalia has re-signed with the WWE. Am I shocked? No. And I'll tell you why. She wants to work with a lot of the talent in TNA. And well, WWE and NXT and TNA have a relationship. So I could see her against Jordan Grace. I could see her against Masha Slamovich. I could see her against, what's her face, Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke. I could see her go against so many people that are on the TNA roster. So what a better place to do it than WWE because of their working relationships. I was not
Yeah,
shocked.
she can. Yeah, because she can go Giselle Shaw. She can go against Tasha Steeles. She can go up against. Oh, she can go up against any of the women that are there. Killer Kelly is another name that pops into my head like right away, because that's another woman that can go. That's somebody else that can go, and that relationship, her going over there just to enjoy that, something other than being in WWE, going over to TNA for a while, that'll benefit her so much. And that's something that she wanted to do. Jordan Grace is somebody that she wanted to wrestle. So, and that's already been teased. Slammiversary's up soon, so never know.
We don't. And I mean, well, we have Jordan Grace and Ash Bale against the Slammiversary coming up. Like, there's a lot of great stuff going into TNA. And again, this is really getting eyeballs back on TNA again. And we've said this so many times as well. Like, don't sleep on that product, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we always talk about WWE and AEW, but it's like TNA has got to go on. There's a reason why it's been around for 22 years. And a lot of people didn't
Yeah,
think it would last a month.
yeah, but I think it needs to get off of access, because not a lot of people have access to access.
Access to
So
access.
so it's, to me, it's, if they can get another deal. I don't know when their deal up with access is, but I think for them, and I know um who
Anthem
the
owns.
hell owns who the Anthem. Anthem is the one that owns them, and I know Anthem owns Access TV. But if Anthem wants to expand outside of WWE, or I mean, not expand outside of WWE, but I mean, if they want to use WWE as their stepping stone to getting a different deal with another another uh,
No, they're syndicate.
platform to show on. I mean, granted, I mean, they do have a weekly show on YouTube called Explosion. So it's it would be different if they get somewhere. CW NXT is on there. CW could work for them too. Why not? NWA is working on it, is doing their thing, because, and that's strictly online, but still, it's still the CW, and it's still a platform that people can get on, and if people had, it's now, mind you, the audience for Access TV, you have to upgrade your cable system or satellite system in order to get it. So that's the reason why their numbers are so low. But it's not saying that people aren't watching it, but you get more people watching their clips on YouTube than watching their actual show. So I would like to see them go jump somewhere else other than being on a cable system, a channel that nobody ever watches.
I mean, if you really look what's on the Access TV program, so I get it. It's on channel 88. You see a lot of like music shows. There's TNA. There's New Japan for like an hour. And that's it. The only really two wrestling shows on there are TNA and New Japan. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, looking to see where they go. I'm loving the trajectory of TNA wrestling as a whole, as we do. And what I also am loving is this what happened on Monday Night Raw this week, because we mentioned the Wyatt Six. One of the other bigger news is Mommy's back. As Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan beat his father, his deadbeat dad Ray Ray and Zelina Vega, finally, like CC Peniston. There was a lot of love making in the ring. I thought we were about to see a bound chicka wow wow, but then all of a sudden, This Is My Brutality plays. Rhea Ripley's back, and she doesn't want to hear nothing from Dom, and he's in deep shit. And he even said, I'm so fucked on Twitter. He even put on an Instagram video, the Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Dominic is absolutely amazing. So what are your thoughts on Rhea coming back at the end of Raw on Monday?
Yeah, all he did was accept her nuggies. That's all he accepted. He accepted the PlayStation games. He accepted some nuggies. Yeah, he was doing a little bit of flirting, but mommy saw it. Mommy, she said, I eat, sleep, dream. The demons in my dreams. I'm telling you, that's all she did. She was like, I see you, fool. I see you. She was ready for him. Oh, you think mommy ain't mad? Oh, mommy gonna be very, very mad. You ain't heard the last of it. She ain't gonna let you forget it either.
Can we just say Damian Priest dropping the dime on Dominic with the consequences? I think is the best. I'm just gonna clap it up for Damian Priest because that was
Gotta clap. All right. Gotta clap it up for Damian Priest. Gotta
that was
clap it
great.
up. Clap it up.
That was so good. The tendies and the nuggets and a PlayStation, away to a man's heart and soul. I really am enjoying where they're going now. I'm going to say it because we're putting into the universe. Do you see Dom turning on Rhea and siding with Liv? Because right now, if you look at how the Judgment Day is, Damian and Rhea are pretty much the baby faces, and Finn and the rest of them are the heels.
I think something has to change in the group. And we've already had the teases of Damien. We already know where Rhea is. And as much as a heel as people have tried to, as WWE has tried to portray her, I'm sorry, Mommy is a face. Mommy is a baby face. You can heal her up and piss off everybody. I'm sorry, but that woman can do no wrong in my eyes because she is a badass. My daughter's favorite. And I have to say that's one of the things I want to see. I want to see at least Damien and Mommy go on their own, kind of have like their own thing, between the two of them. Maybe because I think Finn is the one that's probably going to flip the script.
I think so too. I think we're going to get Damian and Finn down the line. We have Damian Gunther coming up at SummerSlam, which I'm really looking forward to their face-to-face tomorrow night on Raw. I'm really just been enjoying. I know they announced on Raw as well, Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov for the Intercontinental Championship. First of all, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk has just been, I mean, a lot of people are calling it the feud of the year, and they haven't even wrestled yet, which I've been enjoying that dichotomy. I'm really excited to see where we're going towards SummerSlam. And one of the things I do have to mention about SummerSlam is 2 matches because we got to go to another one of your girls. You know where I'm going with this. It's SmackDown. BBL, Bayley, Nia Jax with the line of the night. Oh, my God. Oh.
You got to admit, that was a line. That was a line. Well, who are you, BBL? Who are you trying to be now, BBL Bayley? And I'm like, ooh. Wow. She damn went there. But I ain't mad at it either because you ain't hearing me complain.
I'm about to say, why? Well, first of all, I wouldn't even take that as an insult because, first of all, Bayley's got a nice bootay. Number one, so does Nia because they're both beautiful, voluptuous women. We're going to put it out there. We love us some curves, the word spins, the words, the thickness, if you will. But that's the thing. I'm loving how they're doing Nia and Bayley and Tiffany pretty much like teasing, like, hey, I'm going to cash in the money in the bank. But then Nia's like, bitch, what the hell are you doing? Like, what do you think you're doing right now? So I'm loving the dichotomy of Nia and Tiffany. Possibly, Nia wins and then Tiffany cashes in on her. So I'm liking the dichotomy there. So you amped it up for me to now want to see Bayley and Nia Jax. you amped it up for me to see Cody and Solo at the end there with him taking out Randy Orton, and then Cody gets a Samoan spike and friggin' Jacob Fatu. Holy shit! That moonsault that he did, the fucking DIY, and then the BME moonsault. This man is on another level. He is built differently, Paul Morales. Jacob Fatu has only been here for a few weeks, and he's already a star.
You have here's one person that I think he reminds me of the most of all. Umaga.
Yes.
And if you look at how Rosie was before, how Umaga was before, dude was as big as he was athletic as all hell. It didn't matter how, and even Rikishi when he was a bigger guy, when he was he's still a big guy. No offense to big guys. No offense to big guys. What I'm saying is like, dude, this Samoan dynasty, literally, like everybody, Tonga Kid, even, they were all jumping off the top ropes, splashing people. The same thing that Jacob is doing. So the fact that people are taking notice of it now, it's amazing, dude. I mean, and we already had Jimmy and Jay who were doing excellent work, when they were younger. Now they're a little bit more seasoned, a little bit older. No offense, Jay. No offense, Jimmy. None like that. But I'm saying, like, dude is still young. Dude is still can go at it. And you watch him out there. You go back to MLW where he was banging too. Dude, the upside for this man is high and above. But him being that enforcer, much like Jimmy and Jay were, and Solo was for Roman. Watch it. We're gonna see something completely different and something great come out of this.
Speaking of something great, we mentioned Cody and his yelling of "Take me," which I thought was a nice touch at the end of SmackDown. But dude, they're teasing Cody and Randy, and I'm here for it. I love that interaction.
Exactly. I love it. Hey, if we're gonna get it, I think it's post Solo. Because I think this whole bloodline thing is going to flip at SummerSlam, and then that takes a different trajectory. So that's going to take again something that doesn't need a title involved. So do I think Solo does need one? Yes, but does he need it right now? No. I think somewhere down the line, I would actually, in all honesty, and this is probably going to be something very, very controversial, I would like to see Solo win the Royal Rumble. Here's why.
Okay.
Because he can get that title match at WrestleMania. Win it. Roman may or may not, kind of be involved. May or may not help him, or Rock may help him. It's something that needs to twist, and I think that he needs a title under his belt. It would further that storyline. It would help that storyline to him being that tribal chief. That thing, everything that they thought that they had for Roman Reigns, they should give it to Solo, and then Roman kind of be like, all right, I see you, and then it develops that thing. And I'm not saying that he should win the Royal Rumble, but I think he could win it.
I like that trajectory. Art, because Solo, here's the thing, that dude has been on the roster. This is going to be 2 years towards the end of the year. Like, instead of 2 years' time, he's really improved. For the guy that used to be so quiet, he didn't say a freaking word, and now he's just, he's a leader. He's really finding himself on the mic. I'm for it. And I mean, something else that we're all for. We're kind of aren't for it, but we're for it just to see how 2025 looks. John Cena has announced his retirement. 2025 is his last year in the ring. And I'm going to say first and foremost, 23 years of John Cena. Like, that's a long time, number one, but also number two. I mean, the memories that he gave, very polarizing figure in the world of professional wrestling. You love him or you hate him, but John Cena gave you moments. And I got to say, I'm really looking forward to the last time is now and who he's going to face in 2025.
You see the list of guys that they posted that want to wrestle him.
CM
And
Punk,
then even oh my god, Braun Breaker, Ilya Dragunov, CM Punk wants to go after him again.
Drew
He said,
McIntyre.
"Let's run it back again." Randy Orton said, "Let's run it back again." If we can get, let me see, 12 PLEs
Mhm,
in a year,
mhm.
12 PLEs in a year, we get 12 matches from him at PLEs. He doesn't necessarily have to go every couple of weeks, but if we get 12 good matches, 12 wrestlers, I would love to see him, the wrestlers that I just mentioned, those guys. Roman Reigns, maybe one more time. I don't
Drew,
know. I
Drew
don't right now. We've already had that a couple of times.
I mean, Drew
Um,
McIntyre, AJ
Drew
Styles,
McIntyre is another one.
AJ Styles again.
Gunther, Gunther would
Yes.
be another one. AJ Styles would be another one. I'd love to have them run that one back like they did when the U.S. title. Oh, I'd love to see them run that back.
Yeah, like when he was going for the WWE title in 2017, the matches in 2016. I mean, John Cena. I mean, we could put him in John Cena and Chad Gable. You could put John Cena against anybody. I'm for anything that they do next year. Like I'm.
What about the guy who says that he's his idol, or
Oh, John
that
Cena.
John Cena and R-Truth? Give me that one, man. I mean, I'd like to see R-Truth battle his childhood idol, John Cena. They about the same age. They close enough, man. I don't know.
Well, we got it once before at Capital Punishment 2011 for the WWE title, so why not? John Cena and The Miz, we can always run back one more time. I mean, we'll mention Miz in this very briefly. So they're going to Cleveland for SummerSlam. Miz and R-Truth, is that a match you're thinking that they're going to do one-on-one? Because we're showing signs of Miz might be turning heel again.
I I think he's already frustrated, but it's hard to say because excuse me, unless Triple H decides that he wants to run a few more matches other than just his usual 5-6. If he wants to run 8, I think that one can go on there. You're going to get the big pop with the Miz, and then maybe him heel turn, or maybe them go after the tag team titles again, and then Miz turn on R-Truth. That's what I think should happen because it would be a good place for them to turn, and then them have their little feud. But then if you do that, then you're kind of weakening the tag team division because you already have don't have so many teams, but you have teams. If you get that, like you have teams that aren't even being shown. Uh, Los Lotharios that aren't being shown. Now they were this past week.
Mm-hmm.
The Creed brothers aren't being shown, but they're getting teases that they're doing something. Eventually, we're going to end up getting the Wyatt Six that are probably Gacy and more than likely Gacy and
Dexter Loomis.
probably Dexter Loomis, if not Eric Rowan. But I would still like to see that, or maybe one of the two, one of the three, or two of the three that I mentioned. Because if I would like to see one of them maybe go after the IC title, maybe one of them, eventually Bo Dallas go after the world title, and I'd love to see Nikki Cross actually be a women's champion. And if eventually, and I've already said this once before, and I've said this time and time again, WWE needs a mid card title for the women.
Yep.
And I've already said this multiple times. For as many women that you have in the company that are now in NXT and that are eventually going to end up coming up, you're going to end up needing a mid card title for them because you need to have some sort of substance for these women. And the tag titles is not the only thing you need. They need something more. So if I think that, maybe Nikki women's intercontinental title, women's US United States champion. If it happens, I'm here for it.
Same. And I mean, if you bring Alexa Bliss back whenever that happens, there's so many different ways you can go with it there. I mean, one thing that came out of the Money in the Bank before we start our AEW talk, Drew McIntyre cashes in the Money in the Bank during the Damian Priest Seth Rollins match. CM Punk messes it up and Damian Priest winds up pinning Drew McIntyre, and he is unsuccessful in his cash in. People like, oh, it was a waste. Like, you know, he had to cash in already. I'm like, but it fits the story of CM Punk always screwing Drew McIntyre. As long as I'm here, you're not going to be the champion. So it makes sense with the story, but a lot of people felt it was a wasted cash in. What do you think?
I want to say yes and I want to say no. I think you can kind of you could sit on both. You could sit on the fence and see both arguments. Okay, you could literally sit on the wall and see the arguments from the left and arguments from the right. You could see who. Let's start with the pros. Let's start with the pros. You further the storyline for CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. You give them more heat, more, and now mind you, they're not wrestling. How else do you further a storyline without wrestling? You have to give it something. So the fact that he screwed him not once, but twice, wait, 3 times he
Yeah, 3
screwed him.
times. WrestleMania.
WrestleMania,
Yep.
Clash at the Castle, and then Money in the Bank. So the fact that he's there, and then you get the beat up the awful beatdown of CM Punk on SmackDown. So you get all that, and it still continues the storyline. Now I get the other side of the fence. This could have went to somebody like LA Knight. This could have went to somebody else that could have maybe propelled them into something else. Braun Breaker, who was also in that match. Jey Uso, who could have also cashed in. But I think we want Jay's cash in to be more of a genuine cash in, or his win to be more of a genuine win. And I think Phil and Drew can extend this all the way to WrestleMania next year with their feud. The fact that they haven't even had a match and their only interaction was at the Royal Rumble this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then both ended up on the shelf. So it's, how else do you further it along? I think it is a wasted opportunity, but I also understand the wrestling aspect of it, of telling a story.
Agreed.
Eventually, we're going to get Jay winning it. Eventually, we're going to end up getting maybe Gunther winning it at some point. Does Jay could win the Royal Rumble and face whoever it is. And I think whoever the champion is, I think Jay is going to get that big pop. But I also think at some point in time, he's going to end up in that bloodline feud.
Agreed. And I think, like, you talk about the trajectory with Jay, like, again, him winning the Royal Rumble is a possibility. With CM Punk and Drew, like we mentioned, folks, it's the storytelling of them not even touching and getting to when you want to see it. It's, again, we talk about story arcs and everything with storytelling. Triple H, if you saw the behind the curtain of WrestleMania and how they had to do the bait and switch, and it was Rock's idea to get to
The Rock.
You know I'm going to go here. So if you saw the behind the curtain, The Rock, it was his call to do this going into WrestleMania. And, I decided to make the switch. And, I said, hey, Hunter, I want to be a bad guy. And then Triple H's plan of navigating like a GPS to creative, The Rock being The Rock, and what we got at WrestleMania was awesome. But I wanted to ask you as well, because that was another topic, because it fits into the storytelling arc, like we mentioned with all these shows this week. And before we get into AEW, Paul, this came out while also we were on hiatus. What were your thoughts on Behind the Curtain, the WrestleMania documentary?
Dwayne, you have become the greatest meme of all time. You have surpassed Spider-Man.
Yep.
You have surpassed every other meme. Maybe the little boy that was like, I'm sorry, but Dwayne, you just became the greatest meme of all time. I know you started the NWO. You were talking to Hulk Hogan and you were like, hey, Hulk, I think you should turn and you should be the third man for the NWO. Tell Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, that you want to do that for them. And these memes that are coming out are hilarious. I beg y'all to go watch them because you'll crack up at every single one of them. Okay, Dwayne, I love you. I really, really do, but don't take credit for shit that you didn't do.
Hmm.
You may have called an audible on what happened, but it was the fans
Us.
like us that did the changing, the flipping of the script.
We
I
want
get
Cody.
it. I get it. And I'm talking to Dwayne. Dwayne, I love you. I really, really do. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, I really, really love you as a wrestler. I think you're a nice guy. But you did not do anything. You may have told people, hey, I did this and blah, blah, blah. No, no. Because you wanted to come in, you wanted to change, you wanted this big, huge match
What Roman?
with Roman. Now, had you said, "Hey, look, I'll give Cody whatever he want. Let Cody do what he's gonna do, but and not this whole, hey, you can have it down the road or whatever." No, the fans told you specifically because they didn't want to have it. They may have wanted to see it at one point in time. Hey, Royal Rumble back then, 2012 or yeah,
2015.
2012.
2015. Yeah,
Oh,
2016.
2015 Royal Rumble. Had that happened a little after that, yeah, fans would have ate it up. You could have had the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, or been had the greatest or whatever. You could have did it then, but you chose not to. I
Yeah, and I mean, I really did like the hour it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very good. It was very telling. But yeah, he became that was the big thing, the big meme of The Rock and whatnot. And here's my thing with that: it's like Rock can say what he will, like you mentioned, calling the audible. But it's like if you watch the documentary, folks, he was so hell bent. We got to do Roman and I. We didn't get it last year. We got to get it this year. And the fans were like, "Oh, that's going to be cool, Roman Rock." But wait a minute, what the hell happens to Cody? That would have been very telling because then what the hell was going to be the plan for Cody then? Him and Seth, or what they were? Because originally it was going to be Seth and CM Punk. Like so where would that leave Cody Rhodes on the card, right? Like because that's a big whole gap right there.
Now this would have been different had okay. Here's how it could have happened. CM Punk got hurt Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Now Seth came out or now had they knew this shortly after. You had already had the plan for Cody to go back to back.
Mm-hmm.
You could have simply said, "Let's go to Perth. Let's take Cody's thing. Maybe somebody else take it from him." You could have had that. Somebody take his spot for WrestleMania, or ask why it was happening. Maybe I don't know. I'm kind of throwing all this shit in my head right now. Or Seth kind of screw him. Seth kind of beat him up. Seth could have been a heel, and him and Cody could have went at it. That could have happened. You could have completely flipped the script because again, we're back to a title. And it's a new title, and it could have been Cody's. Now, would a Roman have lost at WrestleMania? Was he still planning on taking this hiatus afterwards? What was he going to do? Drop it to The Rock?
That would be
We don't know. So maybe making him wrestle on two nights. Maybe night one wrestle The Rock. Maybe night two wrestle Cody for the title. It could have worked had you just planned it right.
It was all me though. It was all me. It was all The Rock
It was
Johnson.
all me.
It was all me.
I flipped the script.
I flipped the script. So with that documentary, one other thing I want to mention, because there's a lot of stuff that did happen in this week in professional wrestling. But one other thing I want to mention, we mentioned SmackDown and the major stories out of that, as well as the major stuff from the pay-per-view. And Braun Breaker, I will say this, give that man the Intercontinental Championship. On SmackDown, let's give LA Knight, the United States Championship. Yeah, I'm digging those two. But one thing I do want to mention is, because we talk about matches with SummerSlam with Braun and Sami Zayn, and we have LA Knight and Logan Paul. I'm here for it. Give me new champions. But besides their rise and besides their trajectory, another trajectory I want to mention before we get into AEW for the last part of the show here, Paul, is Brooks Jensen came back, and Josh Briggs, he vouched for that boy. He vouched for his former tag team partner, and this son of a gun takes out Javon Evans, and he's like, what the hell? I vouch for you, you son of a bitch. What the hell is wrong with you? If Brooks Jensen's first feud back is with Javon Evans, I am okay with that. And also, if you do Josh Briggs and Sean Spears because they got a beef, I am okay with that. But what were your thoughts on Brooks Jensen coming back on NXT after the great build that they've had of him going absolutely apeshit, and now he gets a second chance and he already blows it?
I think it's going to be interesting because Sean came online and he said, I like giving people second chances. He came out and he started talking about it. Then we get what happened on Tuesday. The fact is that this could be something interesting. I would like to see it develop more. And him and Sean Spears, hey, cool, good. Him and Javon. I mean, are good first good first person back. He was on Level Up for a while, trying to hit up, more of the main roster. Him and Josh Briggs had a nice little tag team, which I think they could still continue if they chose to. But I kind of like the lunacy. I kind of like the craziness of the character that he's kind of developed over the time that he's been away, per se. So, but let's see where it goes, man. I'd like to see what happens, what feuds can come of it, and I'm here for it. I'm here for some new things on NXT. Always.
Same. And I mean, speaking of new things, we mentioned Braun Breaker going against Cena as a possibility. Now I'm going to add this thing because they did also announce for the Japan show, Logan Paul, due to other commitments, will not be on the tour. And everybody has said it. Don't act like you don't know. You know the real damn reason why that man cannot go to Japan. You know the real reason why he can't go to Japan. So that also came out. Logan Paul and John Cena is definitely a match I would like to see in 2025. I think you can agree with me on that, Mr. Paul Morales.
Yeah, that could be that would be a really, really good one. I think it could be something that people would want to pay for.
Same. And Headliner, yes. And speaking of the headlines, and what I love about these matches too as well, it brings us to AEW because AEW has a lot of headline matches coming up towards their Wembley show. But here's my thing with Tony Khan, man. All right, so first of all, I loved Mariah May turning on Toni Storm. She wins the Owen Hart, and then she absolutely gushes her with the shoe. Luther takes a bump off the table. But in my eyes, I think it might have been a little too soon because of the fact, like, you get to Wembley, you can have this babyface match, and then Tony beats her, and then Mariah May beats the crap out of her, and then she takes it in Chicago All Out. My thing, too, as well is I think they kind of, while it was good, I thought they rushed it just a little bit too soon. You know what I'm saying? Because it also takes off. I don't give a crap about the Owen Hart Cup tournament. I just want to take your championship. So I enjoyed the main event segment of Mariah May because she's a star on the rise, beating up Toni Storm. But what were your thoughts on them kind of like doing this so quick as opposed to waiting to All In?
I get it. I get your side. I do. But I think if you look at how it steadily progressed over the weeks that what's the young girl's name that she faced last time?
Oh, Mina Shirakawa?
Yeah, Mina Shirakawa. I couldn't.
No worries.
Anyways, so that little trio was kind of cool. The fact that Tony beat Mina, I think that kind of rubbed. I think that kind of rubbed her the wrong way. So the fact that Mariah won this, I think it was one of those statements that she needed to make. Like, I think it could have progressed a little bit more, yes. But I'm not mad that it happened. I'm not mad that it happened how it did. I'm not mad that it happened as fast as it did because I think they need more or less a draw up to getting to all in.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe they can continue it at All Out. Because now they're spread apart. Now Finally, Tony figured out, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't put these one week after the other. Duh.
Duh.
And so now they're 2 weeks apart.
Now, speaking of speaking of apart, Dave Meltzer also makes his tweet that again, Dave's got to stop talking. So him and Brian went at it of
Him and Brian need to stop talking.
yes, and they talked about the three-way kiss at the end of Forbidden Door, and Dave's like, and people say that AEW doesn't tell stories, and Brian Alvarez like, what story are you telling with a three-way kiss? And that friggin' tweet and that audio went viral as to like, what are you talking about, Dave? Friggin' a three-way kiss is the, they're telling the stories. Now, what do you have to say to that? Because that thing went viral with the three-way kiss with them at the end, and then Dave's like, they say AEW doesn't tell stories.
You know what? This goes back to everything that happened with Kalani Jordan
So Ruka.
and Sol Ruka. Him and Brian couldn't fucking stop talking about it, and it's like, why? Why? Like, dude, y'all need to just shut the fuck up. Like, y'all are bitching and complaining. First, you're bitching and complaining at the fact that they had a great match. Then you want to come back and say, "Hey, guess what? This is great storytelling."
And Brian's like, "What storytelling is it?"
Dumbasses, dude. You can't have it fucking both ways, dude. Seriously, but you like the flips in freaking in an Osprey match, and you like stuff in like that Ricochet does, or you like the stuff that the other flipping wrestlers do, and Zack Saber Jr. Another one that they like. Okay, cool, yay, woohoo! The God forbid a woman can fucking do it, and then you get this damn three-way kiss, and they're like, "That's great storytelling."
I can't stop laughing because it's so ridiculous. I spent like freaking like 5 minutes talking about this, and I'm like, dude. And also David and just Dave Meltzer as a whole, ladies and gentlemen. Good Lord. Now I'm gonna say this. Speaking of good Lord, you could be all psychotic with the inflection of their voice and wherever they're going. And I say this proudly. I don't give a rat's ass about the learning tree. I still don't. Chris Jericho can get on that forklift and drive Samoa Joe through that wall. I still don't give a rat's ass about the learning tree. I want this to end. I am tired of Chris Jericho and company facing Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata because it is just end it. It should have ended with Forbidden Door, and then we get to All In. It should have ended All In with Hook finally winning the FTW championship back. I don't want to see any more of this. After we have him win the FTW title back, end it. It's done. Kaput. Chris, go away for like 3 to 6 months. I'm tired of your fucking face. I hate this story. It's overdone. It's just dumb as a whole. I hate it. And he drove him through the fucking wall. Go ahead.
No, Michael, tell me how you really feel.
It's freaking bad. And these freaking people like, oh, Chris Jericho is helped elevating the young talent. Yes. He beat Action Andretti. What the hell's... I mean, Action Andretti beat him, excuse me. What the hell's Action Andretti doing? He's with Top Flight. Scorpio Sky beat him. What the hell's Scorpio Sky doing? He's on Collision. Like, who has Chris Jericho elevated? Like, tell me. I'll wait. Who?
Yeah, which one of those guys are going for a championship anytime soon? Elevation.
But fucking Will Ospreay. Like, Will Ospreay was made before Chris Jericho, who cut the promo on MJF, and they're doing the title match next week, which I'm like, all right, y'all couldn't save it for Wembley, which I'm sure they're going to probably wind up doing again at Wembley. But you got to get MJF against Daniel Garcia in there. It's just the whole shebang with how he books him. He does it for the sickos and fucking, yeah. But you want to talk about Jericho and Samoa Joe first, because that shit just frustrates me. I'm so tired of this.
Yeah, I get the reason why. Again, Samoa Joe was written off because he's going to go back and do Twisted Metal, and he's going to do season 2 of Twisted Metal. So I understand that, but at the same time, Chris Jericho is just... I love him.
He's insufferable.
But the fact is that, dude, you're no longer elevating anybody.
He's become what he's...
And I don't mean any disrespect. Like, dude, you're not elevating anybody. Like, you're just there. If this whole learning tree were getting somewhere, hell, if you still had your old Judas theme song, that probably people would probably still care, but right now it's like, dude, you're just there. You're just there to take up a space for somebody else. And if you were managing these people into like championships and whatnot, elevating, that's elevating them. Big Bill was just a champion, just a tag team champion
Even Ricky Starks, yep.
with him and Ricky Starks. And why is he following your coattails? Why? It makes no sense.
You get Brian Keith out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then you get Brian Keith out of nowhere, and it doesn't. Again, back to things that don't make any, that just don't make sense, and none of it makes sense. If we're on this whole trajectory of trying to figure out why AEW sucks,
This is why.
again, there are a few storylines that I'm interested in
Same.
that have been intriguing. Mariah May, Tony Storm, give it to me.
Yep.
MJF, Will Ospreay, okay, give it to me.
All right.
But I still think Will Ospreay should be in the world title picture. I understand you want him to do other things, but there have to be levels in this company. There have to be, because you can't just throw this guy over here, throw this guy over there. And maybe this is just me, because maybe he just lost his place in line. He took a sabbatical for 4 or 5 months, however long he was gone, and you want to move him to the back of the line. Hey, cool, fine, dandy. But say that he lost his place and that he has to work his way back. Specify why these people are not in this, in certain areas or certain levels, certain tiers of a title, because they lost their place or they're just whatever. I mean, you got international title, you got the Bang Bang Gang Bang title, or
because
you got a bunch of fucking titles, and you got a bunch of titles that are just there, and you have no real idea who the hell is what, or who's going for what, or what's going where.
Well, they stripped the trios title off the Bang Bang Gang because Jay.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. That's why I was laughing. I made that one up, by the way.
Bang Bang. Oh, the Bang Bang Gang title. Just
yeah, the Gang Bang Gang. I got it.
Bang Bang. Poor Rio's hurt. Friggin's gonna be out for a little bit. Like there's a lot going on with AEW, and I just say this: they fumbled it already for me with Hangman Adam Page. So he comes back as the wild card. He beats Jeff Jarrett, which, okay, Jeff Jarrett had a legit story of Owen Hart has been my friend for many years. I tag with that man. I've ridden down the road with him, and you already get rid of him in the damn tournament. And Adam Page is all like, I don't need your help. I don't need your help, Young Bucks. I don't want nothing to do with you. I'm out here to do things on my own. And then the next week, Bryan Danielson wins, and he's going to face Swerve now for the title at All In Wembley, which I'm looking forward to. You know, Bryan Danielson's last run. But then Adam Page just goes to the back, and he's like, okay, I'll be with you guys. After a week, after 1 week, he's like, fuck you guys. And then the next week, it's like, it's okay, guys. I'll be in Blood and Guts.
I've said this before. I've said this before. They're horrible storytellers. but I will go with Denise Salcedo, and I will say they have improved. They have improved in some aspects about storylines, but in other places they have not. In a lot of other places, remember when they started? And one of the things that the Young Bucks wanted to do, and one of the things that they specified, tag team wrestling is going to be important.
Yes.
It's not.
No.
They got trios titles. They said these trios titles are going to be important. We're gonna showcase them. They unified them with the ROH titles, ROH tag team trios titles. Why? It's because nobody's watching ROH. I mean, if they are, they're buying it, or they're on Honor Club and they're buying it and they're watching it. You bought the company to try something different, to try and do a whole WWE thing to where you wanted the library, you have the library, and you have all these wrestlers that are on some of the wrestlers that were on that ROH original ROH are in your company. Why does AEW not have their own thing like WWE? Why don't they have like a AEW network? You
because they
have three companies. Hell, you work with New Japan. Hell, you work with CMLL. You can use their libraries. Hell, you could pay them for their libraries to help make sure that the people shit streamed. And if their pay-per-views need to be streamed, you're making money.
agreed.
But
But
AEW just seems to not be what it used to be, or not be what they wanted it to be. So the fact that all these storylines are not making sense to me, it shows. It shows that some are hitting, some are missing. Chris Jericho, for instance,
I got
not hitting with anybody.
so I like to your point. I got
Sorry, Denise, but I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's
sorry, but not
Chris Jericho is not hitting with me.
no, me either. Not with a lot of people. And I mean, with Tony, I think it's just with all that and them having the streaming stuff, it's just like $50. Like it's worth it for everybody to pay for pay-per-view. Like it's worth it for people to get ROH Death Before Dishonor to see Jay Briscoe, God rest his soul, Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. My thing too with Tony is he's also, and again, Uncle Dave comes back into this, you son of a bitch, just shut up, Dave. So him and Brian had Tony Khan on their Wrestling Observer Radio. And then Tony, because of the gate at the Forbidden Door, he goes, well, when did Eric Bischoff and WCW ever draw $1 million gate? Huh? And I'm like, why do you have to mention Eric Bischoff? I know he criticizes you, but you have to get the shot in at Eric Bischoff. Why? Why? Shut up.
I think it's easier for Tony to go after somebody who isn't in wrestling anymore. He's a podcaster like us.
Yep.
And he gives his observations like us. And he wants to say, oh, he never did this and he never did that. Well, he did have sellout shows. He did have quite a few sellout shows during the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
He even had a few sellout shows when he was in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to base this on saying, oh well, how come he didn't have $1 million show? If ticket sales were what they are now in the 90s, he would have. That's just being real. Had ticket sales of today been what they were, or of today been what they back in the 90s, he would have had several $1 million shows. Period.
Now, besides Eric Bischoff and Tony Khan's ness, one final topic before we close this out with AEW. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and Britt Baker looks to be the trajectory for All in Wembley. So I want to ask you two parts. One, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and Britt Baker, and the fact that Mercedes Moné now has creative control and whatnot within her contract. And Tony Khan says she's the greatest free agent of all time. Here's all the money. Take it, Mercedes, take it. What are your thoughts on, we'll start first with Mercedes and Britt Baker, and Mercedes having that creative control and whatnot in her contract?
It won't be long before Britt Baker is in WWE.
Okay.
Because if she's going to face her and she's just booking herself to win every time, then what's going to happen is that the women in AEW are going to get pissed. They're going to go elsewhere. That's just the reality of everything. That's just the reality of it. If Mercedes Moné is going to book herself to win every single time, then what's going to happen is that you're going to get a lot of women leaving AEW because you have it in your contract that you're going to have creative control over what you do. And pretty soon it's going to be, you're going to have this woman holding your titles hostage, even though she may drop one, but she may pick up that women's world title and not want to relinquish it. That's just being real.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a situation much like where Hulk Hogan had creative control in WCW, but this woman ain't Hulk Hogan. I mean, look, she's only had a couple matches, and I'm already sick of her, to be completely honest. Like, she comes in, she beats Willow Nightingale, she beats Sky Blue, then she beats Zeusix, and then she beats Stephanie Vaquer and wins another title in her fourth fucking match, and now we're setting up her and Britt Baker. Okay.
I, it's you're perfect. You're exactly right. It's Hulk Hogan all over again.
Yep.
It's Hulk Hogan trying to hold WCW hostage. It's Hulk Hogan trying to hold TNA hostage.
But in her case, it's not. That doesn't work for me, brother. It's that doesn't work for me, sister.
Yeah, it's just gonna be one of those head scratchers,
Mm-hmm.
and Tony pretty much screwed himself. You gave her what she wanted, fine, perfectly fine. Let her go do whatever the hell she wants. This is your company. When she fucks you over, you'll know.
Beautifully stated. And what you do know, because if you don't know, now you know. We are back with the weekly review, and we will have some more shows for you coming out really, really soon. Oh my goodness, SummerSlam is in 3 weeks. We have Slammiversary right before that. There's a lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling as we are here in the summertime. And well, Mr. Paul Morales, before we close this out, where can we follow you on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube? The floor is yours, my friend.
Of course, you could follow me right there. Name Deadman RWT. All platforms, pretty much Twitter, YouTube, um, TikTok. Yeah, that's about it. My IG is my IG, so don't try to find me there. Anyways, you could also find me on the RWT Facebook page, which is in the link below. And Mr. What's your name again? Oh, Michael Larkin. Hey, the floor is yours.
So Mike Larkin 92 on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 900 subscribers. Let's get to 1K by the end of the year. We appreciate the growth and everybody that's tuning in and listening. Keep on keeping on, ladies and gentlemen. You can check out StephenMikeShow.com, LFCfights.com for all your Stephen Mike Show and Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast needs. SM Show 1 and MCL92 on the Twitter front, M Larkin MB and Larkin_92 on the Instagram. LFC podcast is on this channel, the weekly review with myself and Paul Morales, Deep into the Heart of Wrestling with myself, Robert Davis, and Nicola MacDonald, Uncaged with myself and Daniel Crimmins, Steve Nicoforo and I with the Stephen Mike Show, and my On the Mic with Mike and the LFC podcast series. So, yeah, that is it for us, and I will have the links in the description. And for Paul Morales, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to another edition of the weekly review, and we back, right